Hospitals are places where lives are saved, where pain is healed, and where hope breathes in sterile white walls. But what if I told you that inside one of the most respected hospitals in the world, Johns Hopkins, there was once a patient who was never discharged, never cured, and never seen leaving the building alive. A patient whose name was erased from records as if they had never existed. This is the story of the last patient of Johns Hopkins. The tale begins on a rainy evening in Baltimore. The year was 1996. The hospital was quieter than usual, its corridors dimly lit, echoing with the sound of dripping water and distant footsteps. Nurses whispered that the old psychiatric wing, which had been closed for years, was not entirely abandoned. There were reports of faint lights glowing from the windows at night, though the wing had no electricity. Some said it was just faulty wiring. Others said it was something else. But one nurse, Julia, believed it. She was young, only 2 months into her new job, and curious about the stories the older staff shared. She heard about a patient, simply referred to as Patient 1462, who had been admitted decades earlier and was never released. No one could remember why. No one knew his real name, and yet some swore they saw a pale man wander in the abandoned corridors, his hospital gown torn and stained, whispering words no one could understand. Julia tried to ignore it. She focused on her rounds, walking the long, silent halls of the hospital at night. But one evening, she heard something unusual, a faint knock coming from behind the locked door of the old psychiatric wing. Her heart raced. It was impossible. No one had been inside for years. Against her better judgment, Julia pressed her ear against the door. She heard a man's voice, weak but clear. "Don't let them forget me." Her breath caught in her throat. She pulled back, trembling. She wanted to run, but the voice spoke again, this time softer, almost pleading. "Please, they erased me." The next morning, Julia told the head nurse what she'd heard. The woman gave her a stern look and told her never to mention it again. "The psychiatric wing is closed. No patients are inside. Do your job and stay away." But Julia couldn't. That night, she returned with a flashlight. She found the old keys hidden in a drawer at the nurse's station. Keys most people have forgotten about. Her hand shook as she slid one into the rusted lock. The door creaked open, releasing a gust of cold, stale air that smelled of mold and dust. The hallway inside was darker than the rest of the hospital. Paint peeled from the walls, and old beds lay overturned. Her flashlight flickered as if resisting her decision. Still, she pressed on. Then she saw him. At the end of the hall, a man stood. His skin was pale, almost gray, his eyes hollow but piercing. He wore a tattered hospital gown, and in his hands, he clutched a leather notebook. "You can see me," he whispered. Julia froze. She couldn't speak. "They erased me," he continued. "But I was real. I was alive." Her voice finally broke free. "Who are you?" His eyes widened, almost in relief. "Patient 1462, the last patient they kept here. They said I was dangerous, but I wasn't. I knew things. I saw things I shouldn't have. So they locked me away and never let me out." Julia's flashlight flickered again. She blinked, and suddenly the man was gone. Only the notebook remained on the floor where he had stood. She picked it up, her hands trembling. Inside were page after page of scribbled words, dates, names, procedures. Some of them matched the names of doctors still working at the hospital. Others were crossed out, as though deliberately erased. The last entry chilled her blood. August 3rd, 1967. They told me I would be forgotten. They told me no one would ever find me. But I will remain here, waiting for someone who listens. Julia slammed the book shut and fled the wing, locking the door behind her. She wanted to throw the notebook away, but something inside her told her not to. She hid it in her locker. The next day, she went to the hospital archives to search for records of patient 1462. There was nothing. No files, no admission papers, not even a mention of his existence. It was as if he had never been admitted at all. That night, she returned to her shift. The halls felt heavier, the air colder. When she passed by the locked psychiatric wing, she heard the voice again, echoing faintly, "Don't let them forget me." Over the following weeks, Julia's life began to unravel. She started seeing the man in reflections, in windows, in mirrors, in the polished surface of the hospital floors. He never spoke, only watched. Staff began to notice her pale face, her sleepless eyes. Some whispered she was catching the curse of the old wing. Finally, Julia brought the notebook to the head nurse and demanded answers. The woman's face turned white. She snatched the book, locked it away in a drawer, and warned Julia never to speak of it again. That patient never existed. Forget him, or you'll end up like the others. But Julia couldn't forget, and just like the others, she disappeared one night. Her locker was found open, her belongings untouched, but she was gone. To this day, no one knows what happened to Julia. Some say she left the hospital and never came back. Others say she joined patient 1462, becoming another erased soul in forgotten wing of Johns Hopkins. The psychiatric wing has long since been demolished, its walls torn down and replaced by new research facilities. But at night, security guards sometimes report seeing a pale man in a hospital gown standing by the new windows, staring out at the city. And if you listen closely, you might hear his voice carried in the wind, whispering the same haunting plea. Don't let them forget me.